Prince Andrew is demanding a trial by jury and has formally denied all the allegations against him as he gave a court in New York his official response to allegations of sexual assault.
Prince Andrew had always been a peculiar child, according to staff of the royal family and anyone who came in contact with him from an early age. Contrary to what the royal family thought, age did nothing to dampen the characters the prince exhibited. And a former maid has come forward to expose a very disturbing detail about the Duke of York. How relevant is this revelation, and how has the prince been perceived over the years? Join us as we shed light into the former maid's revelations and the truth about the prince's character. The Sun interview. New allegations have surfaced from a recent interview conducted by The Sun with Charlotte Briggs, a former royal maid who worked at Buckingham Palace in the 1990s. Briggs's revelations have further tarnished the public's perception of the Duke of York. According to Briggs, one of her daily tasks was to meticulously arrange Prince Andrew's 72 stuffed animals throughout his room. She recalled being informed about the teddy bears as soon as she started her job and undergoing a day's training to learn the precise arrangement the prince preferred. Briggs described the experience as peculiar and emphasized on how important it was to get every detail just right. Being the third child and a second son of Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, was quite a prominent member of the British royal family, which made it quite hard and challenging for them to curb his excesses ever since he was little. Due to his precarious behavioral issues, he was given a few nicknames like the Grumpling and Sniggerer. Briggs revealed that she would arrange the collection each day, placing the largest bears in the back and the others in decreasing order of size. The bears would then need to be positioned in the bedroom according to a blueprint by Briggs or another maid knight. Some of his favorite stuffed animals, including 2 hippos and a black panther dubbed Daddy, Ducks, and Prince, were frequently positioned on his bed or throughout the room, she claimed, while the smaller bears were typically stacked in an underutilized fireplace. As a grown man who had served in the Falklands, Briggs felt it was really strange. However, he was rather explicit about how he wanted the teddies organized, and it seemed like he genuinely adored them. There are other people who claim to have seen this enormous collection of royal bears besides this former maid. According to The Sun, former royal police officer Paul Page confirmed that there were roughly 50 or 60 stuffed animals on the bed.
Prince Andrew's bedroom and his apartments, and on his bed was, I now know was 72, I said about 50, but a maid confirmed it was 72 because she had to count them. 72 teddy bears on his bed.
In the new ITV documentary Ghislaine, titled Prince Andrew and the Pedophile, in essence, the inspector showed them a card in a drawer that contained a picture of these bears in their natural habitat. He went on to explain that he had laminated the photo because he would yell and scream if the maids didn't place the bears back in the proper sequence.
He opened the side drawer and there was a laminated picture of these teddy bears, all in the position they were in. And he said, those bears have to be put back in that position on that card, that's why that's there. Otherwise, he'll shout and scream at the maids.
Here's something more intriguing. The prickly approach to bear arrangement has not been addressed by Andrew, who is presently facing a civil trial after a U.S. federal judge denied his request to have Virginia Giuffre's sexual assault complaint against him dismissed. According to The Sun, he did acknowledge in an interview in 2010 that he had a fondness for the cuddly animals, stating he had always collected teddy bears. In the Navy, he used to purchase a small teddy bear anywhere he traveled, so he has a collection of them from all around the world. Reporter Elizabeth Day also mentioned an oversized teddy bear in the waiting area outside Andrew's apartment when she visited him 10 years prior to interviewing him for a 2019 You magazine feature. She wrote that she asked Prince Andrew about it when she was escorted inside to meet him. He had chuckled and said his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, had given it to him as a wedding present. It seems that as he boarded the horse-drawn carriage that would transport them from Westminster Abbey to their reception, he discovered the bear waiting for him. Even years after the incident, she recalled that he thought this was hilarious. Andrew was raised by a housekeeper, who also catered for his early schooling at Buckingham Palace, just like his siblings, Charles, Anne, and Edward. He was sent to Heatherdown School in Berkshire, which is close to Ascot. He attended Gordonstoun in northern Scotland in September 1973, the same school that his father and older brother had attended. His classmates at Gordonstoun called him the Sniggerer, due to his tendency for off-color jokes, at which he laughed excessively. But it doesn't stop there. He participated in an exchange program at Lakefield College School in Canada for 6 months, from January to June 1977. 2 years later, in July, he graduated from Gordonstoun with A-levels in economics, history, and English. As peculiar as he was, even the young prince had interests.
60s. And I'm fairly sure either I got into the helicopter or he took me for a spin around the garden, I can't remember, but I remember being enamored with it at the time.
And, according to Buckingham Palace, the prince had always had a strong desire to be a helicopter pilot since he was little. He enrolled in the BRNC, Britannia Royal Naval College, after finishing his secondary education, 1979. The Duke of York stayed on duty actively even after the war ended, and though most of his service was in naval aviation, in his final years in service, he worked for the Defense Ministry and the Royal Navy in London. The Falklands War began on April 2, 1982, when Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, a British overseas territory that Argentina claimed. The Royal Navy task force that was formed to travel south to retake the islands was to heavily rely on Invincible, one of the 2 operable naval aircraft carriers available at the time. The British government was concerned about Andrew's position aboard and the potential for the Queen's son to be killed in combat. Therefore, the cabinet wanted Prince Andrew to be placed in a desk job for the duration of the war. However, the Queen demanded that her son be permitted to stay with his ship. Prince Andrew continued to fly on Invincible as a Sea King helicopter co-pilot, participating in tasks such as search and air rescue, casualty evacuation, transport, Exocet missile decoy, and anti-submarine and anti-surface warfare. He was present when the SS Atlantic conveyor was attacked by Argentina. When Invincible returned to Portsmouth at the end of the war, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip welcomed the ship home together with other crew members. According to reports, the Argentine military administration plotted Andrew's murder on Mustique in July 1982 but failed to carry it out. In later years, the Duke of York revealed that serving in the war had an effect on him as a man. According to him, he put aside childish things and came back as a man full of knowledge of human suffering. Was that the case, though? Let's take a look. Love interests, marriage, and family. On July 23, 1986, Andrew wed Sarah Ferguson in Westminster Abbey. He was made Duke of York, Earl of Inverness, and Baron Killyleagh by Queen Elizabeth II on the same day. His maternal grandfather and great-grandfather had already held the first 2 titles. Ferguson and Prince Andrew had known one other since they were young, occasionally running into each other at polo events. In 1985, they reconnected at Royal Ascot. According to their outward appearance in the late 1980s, the couple had 2 daughters together, Beatrice and Eugenie, and seemed to be happy in their marriage. The formal formality surrounding the royal family was viewed as a contrast to Sarah's personal attributes. Nevertheless, the marriage suffered as a result of Andrew's frequent travels for his military job and the constant, frequently unfavorable media coverage of the Duchess of York. The couple made an amicable announcement of their separation on March 19, 1992. The possibility of Andrew and Ferguson getting back together was essentially dashed in August of that year when images of John Bryan sucking on Sarah's toes were released by tabloid media. During their time apart, The Duchess had maintained that Brian was her financial advisor, and Prince Andrew accepted this assertion. According to footage taken by a News of the World reporter in May 2010, Andrew promised to meet with the donor and provide valuable high-level business contacts if Sarah were to receive £500,000. She received a down payment of $40,000 in cash, which was captured on camera.
£500,000 when you can, to me, open doors.
Prince Andrew.
Andrew, according to the report, was unaware of the arrangement. With the help of her ex-husband, whom she likened to a knight on a white charger, Sarah claimed in July 2011 that her multi-million-pound debts had been paid off.
I mean, did you take the money? At one stage you had $40,000 cash sitting in front of you. Did you take it?
Absolutely, yes. And it was given to me and I got it in the car and then returned it straight away.
Having committed a gigantic error of judgment by letting Jeffrey Epstein settle a debt on her behalf, Sarah expressed regret for taking money from him in 2012. She did, however, keep up her defense of Andrew's contentious past association with Epstein. On May 30, 1996, the marriage was dissolved through divorce. In 2008, the Duke of York praised his ex-wife, saying, "I am really thankful to be able to raise our children in a manner that few others have been able to do, and we have managed to work together to do that." In February 1981, Andrew met American photographer and actress Koo Stark, who was serving in the Falklands War at the time. Together they went on vacation to the island of Mustique in October 1982. According to Tina Brown, the only significant romantic interest Andrew had was Stark. Under pressure from the palace, paparazzi, and press, they broke up in 1983. Andrew became the godfather of Stark's daughter in 1997. In 2015, when Andrew was being accused of having a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, Stark defended him. The family remained at Sunninghill Park, which was constructed for the couple in 1990 next to Windsor Great Park, until Andrew relocated to the Royal Lodge in 2004. Andrew and Sarah shared custody of their two daughters. Sarah relocated to Dolphin House in Englefield Green in 2007, which is less than a mile away from the Royal Lodge. After Dolphin House was destroyed by fire in 2008, Sarah moved into Royal Lodge, where she once more shared a home with Andrew. They continue to live there together as of April 2024. With a one-time £1 million premium and a pledge to invest £7.5 million in renovations, Andrew has a 75-year lease with the Crown Estate as the landlord of Royal Lodge. According to reports in March 2023, Andrew was offered Frogmore Cottage when his nephew Prince Harry was asked to leave the house. The offer was made in the midst of rumors that Andrew was going to lose his yearly grant and would not be able to pay for the Royal Lodge's operations. Andrew assumed more of the customary responsibilities of a member of the royal family once he retired from active military service, including attending numerous ceremonies and events and contributing to charitable causes. In 2012, as part of his support of the Outward Bound Trust, a group that provides outdoor experiences for young people, he was one of 40 individuals to rappel, abseil, down the side of the London skyscraper known as the Shard. While all these are minor details about the prince, here's where it intensifies. Downward spiral, scandals. Andrew's association with Jeffrey Epstein, an American banker who was arrested as a sex offender in 2008 and was awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges when he committed suicide in August 2019, brought him notoriety at the beginning of the 21st century. Virginia Giuffre, a lady, said Epstein coerced her into having sex with the prince in 2001 while she was a minor.
I mean, it was horrible, and this guy was sweating all over me. Like, his sweat was like, it was raining basically everywhere, and I was just like, what?
In a November 2019 televised interview, Andrew refuted the accusations against Epstein.
I've never really felt the need to go and party, and certainly going to Jeffrey's was not about partying. Absolutely not.
Apparently ending their friendship in 2010, Andrew said he had no regrets about it and appeared to minimize Epstein's behavior by calling it unbecoming. There was a commotion about those and other remarks, and Andrew declared his resignation as a working royal a few days after the interview. This is where it gets interesting. As reported by BBC News in March 2011, the friendship was generating a steady stream of criticism, and he was being called upon to resign from his position as trade ambassador. Additionally, Andrew came under fire from the media when his ex-wife, Sarah, revealed that he assisted in getting Epstein to settle £15,000 of her debts. In December 2010, while visiting New York City, Andrew was pictured walking in Central Park with Epstein. Following the termination of his position as trade envoy in July 2011, Andrew allegedly severed all connections with Epstein. Attorneys Bradley J. Edwards and Paul G. Cassell filed a lawsuit in Florida on December 30, 2014, alleging that Andrew was among a number of well-known individuals, including attorney Alan Dershowitz and a former prime minister who engaged in intercourse with a minor later identified as Virginia Giuffre, then known by her maiden name Virginia Roberts, who was allegedly trafficked by Epstein. An earlier lawsuit from 2008 that accused the U.S. Justice Department of breaking the Crime Victims' Rights Act during Epstein's first criminal conviction by preventing numerous of his victims from contesting his plea deal had an affidavit from Giuffre. Andrew was not a party to the action. In January 2015, the public and media put more pressure on Buckingham Palace to provide an explanation for Andrew's relationship with Epstein. Buckingham Palace said any suggestion of impropriety with underage minors is categorically untrue, and the rejection was later reiterated. Andrew did not respond when Giuffre's attorneys asked him to make a statement under oath on the accusations. During a trip to London in 2001, at the age of 17, Giuffre claimed to have had intercourse with Andrew 3 times.
Britain's royal family bracing for the fallout over that first UK interview with a woman who says that she was directed to have sex with Prince Andrew.
She also claimed to have had intercourse in New York and on Little St. James in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The following year, Andrew renounced his royal patronages and military titles.
That growing pressure building on the second son of the Queen, Prince Andrew, who has, as you say, now relinquished military titles and royal patronages and has returned them to the Queen.
He reached a settlement with Giuffre in 2022 after efforts to have the case dismissed failed. The contents of the settlement were not made public. Although he was not involved in the events, he did attend Charles's coronation the following year. Several court documents pertaining to Epstein were made public in 2024, and Andrew's name was included in a deposition.
Prince Andrew and the former President Bill Clinton have been named in newly released court documents relating to the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein,
where a lady stated that the prince had once touched her. After she had intercourse with Andrew in London, she claimed Epstein gave her $15,000. According to flight logs, Andrew and Giuffre were at the locations where she claimed they had their meetings. Andrew's friends have consistently claimed that the photo is phony and altered, but it also shows Andrew and Giuffre together with his arm around her waist and Ghislaine Maxwell, an Epstein associate, in the background. Giuffre claimed that she was coerced into having intercourse with Andrew and wouldn't have dared object since Epstein might have killed or abducted her through contacts. The accusations against Andrew in court documents filed in Florida must be removed from the public record, according to a ruling by Judge Kenneth Mara on April 7, 2015. Mara stated that Giuffre may testify in court eventually, but she did not rule on the veracity of her statements. Epstein's butler, Juan John Alessi, testified in a deposition he submitted for Giuffre's 2016 defamation suit against Maxwell that Andrew's previously unreported visits to the Epstein Palm Beach home were more regular than previously believed. He insisted that Andrew got daily massages and spent weeks with us. A second girl, Johanna Sjoberg, testified in August 2019 in court records related to a defamation dispute between Giuffre and Maxwell that Andrew had touched her inappropriately and posed for a picture with his spitting image puppet in Epstein's mansion.
Johanna Sjoberg claims that Andrew groped her breasts while holding a spitting image puppet of himself during a party at Jeffrey Epstein's New York mansion.
Andrew later that month issued a statement saying, at no stage during the limited time he spent with Epstein did he see, witness, or suspect any behavior of the sort that subsequently led to his arrest and conviction. However, he did apologize for meeting Epstein in 2010, after he had already entered his first guilty plea to crimes. In an email exchange from September 2013 between John Brockman and Evgeny Morozov, which was published by the New Republic at the end of August 2019, Brockman wrote that he had noticed that the recipient of Irina's foot massage was His Royal Highness Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, after witnessing a British man known as Andy get a foot massage from 2 Russian women at Epstein's New York residence during his most recent visit in 2010. An alleged victim of Epstein, named Caroline Kaufman, claimed in a federal lawsuit filed in July 2020 that she had seen Andrew at Epstein's residence in New York in December 2010. Epstein's pilot, Lawrence Vysotsky, stated in court during Ghislaine Maxwell's trial in November 2021 that Prince Andrew traveled aboard Epstein's private aircraft with other well-known people, such as John Glenn, Donald Trump, and Bill Clinton. According to Vysotsky, there was no inappropriate activity or misconduct on the aircraft. In a similar vein, Epstein's pilot David Rogers testified that Andrew flew 3 times with Epstein and Giuffre in 2001 and entered Andrew's name in his logbook on May 12th of that year. Keep watching to find out more. The following month, at Andrew's invitation, a photograph of Epstein and Maxwell sitting in a cottage on the Queen's Balmoral estate circa 1999 was displayed to the jury to prove that they were partners. On Good Morning Britain, on January 5, 2022, Anthony Figueroa, Virginia Giuffre's ex-boyfriend, claimed that Giuffre had promised him that Epstein would take her to see Prince Andrew. The meeting, he claimed, had happened in London. Carolyn Andriano, who was a prosecution witness in Ghislaine Maxwell's trial and was introduced to Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein by Giuffre when she was 14 years old, stated in an interview with the Daily Mail that same month that Giuffre, then 17 years old, told her in 2001 that she had sexual relations with Prince Andrew. It doesn't end there. In an interview with the BBC in 2019, Giuffre reiterated these assertions. In her unpublished memoir, she described the bathroom as having a porcelain Victorian-style bathtub in the center of a beige marble-tiled floor. By publishing images of his friends sitting in the bathtub where an alleged assault occurred, Ian Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's brother, refuted the allegations in January 2023. Initially, the images were set aside to protect Ghislaine Maxwell's legal team in the event that Giuffre was called to testify. Ian Maxwell said the pictures clearly demonstrate that the bath is too small for any kind of frolicking. Giuffre's claim that there is a Victorian bath is refuted by the accompanying bathroom design and the actual photographs. The United States District Court for the Southern District of New York released a number of documents pertaining to Epstein in January 2024. One of these documents was a 2015 motion filed by 2 women that detailed Andrew's relations with one of them, who was allegedly Giuffre, at Maxwell's apartment in London, New York, and on Epstein's private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Maxwell wrote in another document that Andrew only ever went to Epstein's private island once, and that the only ladies and girls there were the servants. She added that she had no recollection of whether or not she explained Joffre to Andrew. Another released paper said that Andrew spent weeks with us and received daily massages from Juan Alessi, who worked at Epstein's Palm Beach home. Johanna Sjoberg said in another deposition that Andrew had touched her inappropriately when she was seated on his lap. The allegations will not be investigated, the Metropolitan Police said, but they will consider new and relevant material if it becomes available. The revelations from Charlotte Briggs's interview offer a fascinating glimpse into the inner workings of Buckingham Palace and the personal preferences of the Duke of York, and also its relation to the several accusations. As the royal family continues to navigate the complexities of public life, it's clear that even the smallest details can have a lasting impact. As more evidence and testimonies come to light, the public's perception of Prince Andrew continues to deteriorate. The royal family's handling of the situation has also raised questions about their involvement and knowledge of Andrew's actions. Ultimately, the truth behind these allegations remains to be fully revealed. But one thing is certain: Prince Andrew's legacy will forever be marred by these disturbing accusations. Do you think this new development has changed the already crooked image of the prince? Kindly share your answers, thoughts, and opinions in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel to enjoy more videos like this. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.